That is right. You guys at home, go check it out and go sub, because part 2 and 3 are coming out next week. Well, I guess part 3 to follow week. We're back here with the night shift, number 14, with our North American portion of the show. And I've got a new handsome gentleman joining me on the desk, and I've changed positions with ZP. I've been demoted to the desk host role. But Dan, we got you coming in here. What was your thoughts on EU overall? And I'm assuming you're going to talk about Shiv and probably Trophy Collector.
I feel like they're trying to just make everybody's ranked life a misery, because it's not going to work in ranks, but it's going to give everyone permission to start this bad behavior. But I'm fine with it, to be honest. I'm liking that we see so much experimentation, even seeing cheat Deathport. I mean, we didn't get to see it used, I don't think, right? But I mean,
Death was never cheated, though. That's the entire thing. Like, Death actually got played very legitimately because debuff came nowhere close to dying.
They didn't even need the item to do so.
You're not supposed to use it. You just want to have it.
Well, I think the exciting thing for me moving to North America, it's been a while since we've been able to see this team in particular. We'll take a look at the format and the brackets to get you guys caught up on what is going to be happening. But Sneaky Golem coming in for the first time in a few weeks here. Going to see AVG, Goober, and the boys playing up against Bunny with Clock, with Poshipop, and even Aiden coming back onto the team. A very star-studded lineup here between these two teams. Not to mention May the Creeps waiting for them in the finals here, ZP. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to seeing what North America has to show us this week.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of our more stacked NA weeks we've had in a really long time, because, you look at it, you'd expect, oh, it's another round of Sneaky Golem versus Melee Creeps. And yeah, that may be true, but Bunny with Clock did not look bad last week, and now we get to see their full team. Division was subbing last time around, and now they have Aiden and Gibbs in on the roster. So, it was Geo was the other sub that they had. So those two swapped in because the other two players are playing for the Unks, but now they're at full strength. It is the roster that Poshipop has been crafting behind the scenes. And while I still think Sneaky Golem has the edge on paper, it still could be a really good match.
And honestly, like Dan, looking at Poshipop in particular, just to quickly talk about him, he's had a rough time, I'd say, when it comes to competitive. He had a lot of success on Melee Creeps, then left the team, ended up playing with Little Troopers, then joined Chain Gang, and then Chain Gang got blown up, and now he's making a new team. I think dedication is one thing this man has in spades.
I think so, and you kind of need it. You kind of need it to survive the North American, I suppose, environment, and I suppose it's just Deadlock in general, right? Because we are still before open beta, so you kind of got to find that collection of individuals that you can kind of rally around you that all have that same vision to make something. And Poshipop's been someone that's been, I think, incredible, and we had him on the show too in the Trolley Open, where we were able to hear his thoughts as well, and he watches all of the Deadlock, so like both regions, and that's not something you can say for all of the players. So I love that he's taking that leadership figure, or he is that leadership figure.
Well, speaking of dedication, we are also dedicated here on the night shift to not only producing and providing you guys with some amazing content, but also to you, the viewers, who have multiple ways to support us. One of it being through Patreon. We have different tiers of support. We actually did have our first $250 tier board member with Tetsuo coming through, who's going to get his very own casted VOD from us. That's one of the benefits of the 250. But we also host things like game nights, not to mention the graveyard shift, which will be happening right after the show kicks off, where you can watch it exclusively and ask questions and even talk to the pro player, if I can get my words out, that we have on the show. And beyond that, also something to note, we have gone back to crowdfunding for our prize pools for the following weeks. We have taken things down from 1,000 for each region down to 600. Any donations that you do get through !donate in the chat goes directly into the prize pool. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we were at like 1260, something like that. We had like a 25 come in. We had I think a 15 as well, and then 5 come in from ZP on top of that. We appreciate any of the support that you guys give us here to continue to bring you the action week in and week out. But gentlemen, it is time to head into our first match of the day for North America. Let's take a look at our rosters here for our first team, which I hope is going to be Sneaky Golem, because this team, they've been MIA for a while here, ZP, but this is, I mean, they used to be, still technically are, one of the best teams, if not the best team in North America.
Yeah, and I mean, I think part of what makes this team really good is that, and you see this in EU too, this is a team that not only has really high mechanical skill, but it's a team that has enormous depth to their hero pools. I mean, Hydration basically has turned into Mr. Flex over time. And then you still have players on the roster like Rocker, who, not only is their hero pool a little bit deeper than you may expect, but signature heroes that at times are, not always the most played heroes. Like, for example, if GT is considered to be back into the meta, which I'm not sure it is, even though it got play in EU, you could expect Rocker to come in and play one of the best GTs around. Goober, meanwhile, having things like Viscus and Bebop. There's a lot of variety within the hero pools that they have, where people have made some of the best heroes in the game also their signature heroes at the same time. So, I mean, nothing too much surprising here if you've been watching a lot of Deadlock, but I mean, this roster is very stacked, and it's why that, effectively the core of this team has been the winningest NA roster in history.
Yeah, and Dan, if you were to kind of talk about maybe an individual or two on this team that really stands out to you in one way or another, who would you kind of pin?
It's an interesting one. It's really hard. I think, like CP said, a lot of these players have so much individual identity when it comes to their relative archetypes that they tend to play on the server. But I really like, pinning it down. I want to say AVG, but I also want to say Hydration as well. AVG a little bit also because of just how he is, I feel like, such a captain type of personality for the team. Alongside maybe someone that's a bit more quieter for Hydration. I'll pick Hydration. Hydration, who has been very consistent to have a lot of these players around him since the very beginning. Of course, all of the Hydration rosters formed around Hydration. Someone that came from Overwatch, someone that is able to play pretty much anything. I think these days, obviously, you see that his roles are a little bit more defined because his teammates have more defined hero pools as well. But Hydration is someone that's always able to deliver and is clearly a student of the game and often an innovative player, someone you can look at to learn from. So that's, I think, he's on that list for me, someone who's VODs that you want to watch.
And I feel like everyone in North America that's been at the top of the competitive play has played with Hydration under the name of Hydronation at some point in their careers. Let's move on to their opponents, though. We got BWC, and no, it's not that kind of BWC. It's Bunny with Clock here, led by Poshipop, the reformed team, as ZP was talking about before. And ZP, this team has, I feel like, such high potential. We've seen Aiden single-handedly control games on his Vindicta. We've seen Gibbs be able to do similar things on Viscus. I mean, everyone on this team has been able to have their own moments. Going into this game, they did not look good last week. Do you think with having Gibbs and Aiden back in the roster, they're finally going to look more towards their true form?
I'd say so. And I mean, part of, I think, what's really nice about Aiden, where, okay, obviously you can ban around what Aiden is good at, but I think anytime you have a player on your roster that is so good at one particular hero that you start warping the draft, it's really good for the rest of your team because you're going to get an advantage meta-wise that you may not get. And, truthfully, for Sneaky Golem, they're a team that generally likes to ban around the strengths of the opposing team. So I'm fully expecting Sneaky Golem to come in and open up with a Vindicta ban in all likelihood. I mean, it'll depend if they have first pick or second pick, but especially if they get first pick and they can ensure that they get a Shiv or a Kelvin, they'll probably ban Vindicta in turn. And yeah, that sucks for Aiden that Aiden's not gonna be able to play their signature hero, but it's really good on the other end that you're basically forcing the other team to first ban a hero that you normally wouldn't first ban. So that alone is gonna add a little bit of extra power to the Bunny with Clock draft-wise. Also, on a light note, a fluff note, it just makes me laugh that the guy whose name is Tanner in all caps is playing the hero that shoulder charges people into walls. It's bringing back bad memories of high school, to be completely honest, but it's also pretty entertaining at the same time.
Bro, what the heck? Did you get shoulder charged by a guy named Tanner in high school?
I mean, it wouldn't be surprising now, would it?
Oh, man. I just feel bad. I mean, I didn't have a great high school either. I got bullied a lot in high school, even though I'm like 6'6", look like a Chad, extremely handsome, hang out with the hottest dudes, go to the chillest restaurants. But no, man.
Why are you running against sheer height? You're 6'5". You're already really tall. Nobody
6 foot. Like, if you go look at my Wikipedia, 6'6", and maybe being 6'7" at the end of the show, maybe I'll have to up it by 1 inch. But Dan clearly looks like the guy who was the popular kid at school, wears leather jacket because that's what they do over in England, and drinking his tea with his pinky out. We're heading
Dude, I was the only person that played video games in my school. They used to call me Quake, and not in a nice way. Okay. I got bullied for being a pro gamer back then as well. You couldn't really win back then. If you're a nerd, you just couldn't win.
I feel like someone in chat's gonna be like, just so you know, Dan, you still get bullied for being a pro gamer. Hopefully not. I think it has improved, but to that.
We are going into this. Bunny with Clock do have the first pick, so they will go with the first ban. And as Dan ZP was talking about, expected a Vindicta ban here off the bat from Sneaky Golem.
Yeah, and one quick thing I'll mention. I think I mentioned it last week, but just now that Aiden's playing more, right, he's going to know that he's going to get banned out or targeted more. So there is that evolutionary pressure where he's going to have to expand his hero pool. So I would expect him to be working on good alternatives so that they can be more competitive.
Well, leaving the option open here, ZP. I actually kind of like if Bunny does not take Vindicta first, because there's still a lot of high priority heroes that you want to secure right off the bat that you technically could let, I think, Vindicta go to like 2 or 3 pick if you wanted to get it before the turn.
Yeah, I don't think they have to pick it first in this case, because I think for Sneaky Golem, with you having the 1-2 here, one of those for sure is going to be Paradox. Like, personally, I think the way the meta is right now, you would go Paradox Shiv. I think there's very little downside to going Paradox Shiv as your opening 1-2. I mean, yeah, there's other stuff you can mix in turn. I don't think... The only reason to pick Vindicta in the first 2 is if you're trying to deny Aiden, and if you're not going to use a ban on it, I don't think you're going to use one of the first 2 picks on it either.
Okay, well, Paradox coming out here, Dan. Kind of expected, right? Paradox right off the bat. I'm also curious, no Shiv being secured early, though I don't think there's like a Shiv specialist necessarily in North America like there was in EU with Together.
Yeah, Hydration plays it, right? I don't know if he plays it and he's like super happy that he's playing it, but he plays it, right, for Sneaky Golem?
Well, it'll be Rocker. It would 100% be Rocker in this case. Yeah, like, so it's a little bit weird because both Paradox and Shiv have been in their hero pool, but I think if you have both of them at the same time, Paradox will get offloaded onto someone else, and then you'll have Rocker on the Shiv. But they can swap it around. Yeah,
because AVG used to be a nasty Shiv as well, I think. Now that I'm thinking about it.
It could be, yeah, actually, AVG is also another good get, especially because, frankly, someone needs to be telling AVG no Warden. Like, just when it comes up in chat, it's like, guys, can we do the Warden? Slap the wrist, be like, no, AVG, no. It's not good right now.
I'm going to slap the face instead of the wrist, to be honest. If people keep bringing out Warden here, I mean, even John can't make it work. It's not going to work right now in competitive play. So that, of course, means to the devs out there watching, Nerf Flash. Mina being picked up for Bunny with the clock here, as well as the guys. What's your thoughts, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. I think, Mina is not a pick that we see super prioritized in EU. So I think this is one of the bigger differences is the value on Mina. So we'll see. Also, Geist as well. Geist has been less prioritized too. So it's kind of interesting. Geist obviously, I feel like can scale really nicely with both the tankiness and obviously the damage output. So it's kind of a nice all-round pick. But I don't know. I feel like they're looking at comfort territory picks as opposed to leaning more towards the meta. It's kind of where I'm getting the vibe at the moment.
And I don't hate that necessarily, ZP. I remember last week when we talked about the Unks, they primarily focused on getting comfort heroes. And you know what? Yep. It's worked for them. It worked against Sneaky Golem where they did take him to a 3rd game. But will it work for Bunny with Clock? Are they that good on their specialists to take them down in a best of 1 is a whole entirely different question.
Yeah, I mean, you can also tell, like, meta-wise, things have shifted a lot more radically in NA. I mean, no one's wanting to keep it hot right now. There's no Infernus. I think for Bunny with Clock, you may want to ban it because going into the next round of picks, I think Sneaky Golem is like, yeah, okay. Because if you don't ban Infernus, I think Sneaky Golem probably picks it for Rokane. It is one of Rokane's most picked heroes, period. But the other thing that's weird, too, is that we're into the 2nd round of picks and Ivy hasn't been grabbed yet. Presumably, Ivy's going either this pick or with the next 2 picks from Bunny with Clock, and if it doesn't, we live in a very wild universe.
Sorry, I'm a little late. Had to finish the chapter.
Okay. Yeah. This is I mean, it's interesting too because Bebop is out there still. I think Bebop for both regions is seeing some good priority, and given that Bunny with Clock don't have any natural pick just yet, and they don't have the Paradox or the Holiday to go to, kind of feels like they want to make sure they can get a. I would hope that they want to get a Bebop here or something that can give them a bit more pick potential.
Abrams keeps coming.
That will never not be funny. I'm sorry. Abrams, I mean, they have a beefy front line now, ZP. Geist, Abrams, Yamato. I'm assuming Tanner's going to be picking up Abrams. Hopefully you don't have PTSD flashbacks of high school here. But this is a very beefy front line so far for them.
Yeah, and I would like to see them pick up the Ivy so you have some form of gun carry, although you think about who's going to be taking the farm. I think the reality is they may be apportioning a lot of the farm to Mina in this case and Yamato. But also, going with the Mo and Krill here, you're now basically all in on we are extremely frontline heavy, and a lot of your pick potential is going to be Mo walk at them at this point.
Yes, I'm a little bit worried about that because usually I feel like you want a different setup piece. I think Mo's been deprioritized. Oh, we actually get, so you might see that Rocket GT after all. But yeah, there's not a lot of the setup, I feel, for Bunny with Clock is not amazing. Like you say, just the combo by running up to people. Obviously, Abrams can maybe initiate with charge, but it's nice to have something else to pair it with, like Vindicta with the stake, or Paige with the stun to follow up, or Doorman with the ult. There's like various extra bits you can add there that really make it a lot more powerful. But right now, it's super worrying. And again, Bebop's still available. Like, what do you want to see them pick, CP?
They probably end with Vindicta, right? I'm like, you think about who we talked about the preamble, like, oh man, Vindicta is such a priority for Aiden. Well, you got Aiden, and Vindicta is on the board, and nothing can stop you here. On the same note, Bebop with Moan Krill would be good. So this is kind of weird. Okay, you go Sinclair's. So this is very interesting because it shows that some of the priority has changed for how Bunny with Clock have been operating, because generally speaking, teams with Aiden pick Vindicta for Aiden. In this instance, you had all the opportunity in the world to pick it, and you still decided not to at the end. You go up to Sinclair. So Pashi is cooking something here. I'm not entirely sure what, but there was a distinct change of, okay, you may be really good at Vindicta. We just don't want the Vindicta at all, though.
I mean, if anything, I think this does show some growth out of Aiden in particular, to not rely on Vindicta, right? And to kind of really work on his pool to flex things out, knowing that Vindicta is going to be a very targeted ban against him. But taking a look at, the picks now we have coming through, Dan, are you leaning one direction or another?
So, I mean, I have to lean towards Sneaky Golem. They got the Shiv, and they got Ivy. I feel like they got really good picks. They got Viscous for Goober and everything. So really nice picks. So, but Bunny with Clock, I do want to say that I like the Sinclair kind of over the Vindicta, just because for me that adds split pushing potential. There's a lot more utility that they were missing, and it adds a bit more early laning power as well. And there is setup there, obviously, that can go with the combo or the charges and stuff like that. The Rabbit Hex gives you more opportunity to kind of play with stuff. And obviously, Sinclair can get kind of out of control if you don't know what you're doing. If you do know what you're doing.
I'll say for me, like, I can see the vision where Sinclair could work, and like some of the scenarios where you get ahead in the early mid game and make things work with Bunny with Clock. That being said, based on what we've seen in recent times and what we know of where the traditional meta is right now, this feels like a tremendous outdraft in my mind. Like, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking Sneaky Golem has this in 20 minutes effectively, because they have a lot more traditional power, especially when it comes to doing mid-boss fights. You're going to have like a pretty ridiculous Paige Shiv lane. Your ability to contest like Earn and mid-boss is going to be significantly higher. Your late game carry potential with the Ivy probably better than what you have on the Bunny with Clock side. Like, overall, I think Sneaky Golem has done a draft that has just stacked them with win conditions relative to Bunny with Clock, where the win conditions are there, but it's a lot more narrow in my mind.
Yeah, and I think, the Sinclair one is, the Sinclair pick in particular for Bunny with Clock is definitely been a hero that we haven't seen played much of recent, and we don't really have any Sinclair specialists in EU. We have one Sinclair specialist in NA, but I can't remember the team off the top of my head, ZP. I know you probably remember who it is that I'm thinking of. They're the Trolley Open.
I want to say right?
I keep wanting to say Leviathan. I don't think that's the... Maybe it is. I think it's just we had a team called Leviathan. I think the player Leviathan is there. But yes, that would be the one. If it's who I'm thinking of, then yeah, like big Sinclair specialist. But even then, like...
I told you guys, this is what you get. I didn't hit 1,000 subs on my YouTube channel, so production shut this down and was like waiting for that moment to come back. And I see now at 1,000, so we can finally start this match here. Sneaky Golem up against a Bunny with Clock. All the tech issues hopefully have been fully sorted, as we're going to get underway with this game in just a few moments here. But to remind our chat out there, we have Sneaky Golem, Bunny with Clock. Winner goes on to playing against melee creeps. And I think all of us were generally siding with Sneaky Golem in the draft they had. Correct, ZP?
Yeah, the Sneaky Golem draft, again, I like looking for the viewpoint of, I can see win conditions for Bunny with Clock, but I can see way more win conditions and a lot more general power for Sneaky Golem. As we got into a conversation that probably got cut off, but Dan, we were talking back and forth, and you were just kind of wondering about it. It's like, the reasons we put out there for Bunny with Clock, was it cope? Were we just deep into the cope sphere? And we might have been.
We're trying our best here. We're trying our best to set this up, because normally, right, you'd look at a game and be like, okay, well, maybe this team has a better draft for like these portions of the game. And I feel like the draft for the best portion of the game for the draft that Bunny with Clock has, they're still outclassed on the draft. I feel like they've lost kind of in every stage. So it is, but we have to try to figure it out, CP. We've got to find a way. because otherwise
I mean,
we're just kind of calling it before it started. That's not cool.
I will say this though, ZP, looking at the EU challenger match of Leviathan up against Fearless Furies, we were all looking over towards the side of Leviathan, having a very strong composition. I mean, they had multiple pick potential, and yet their opponents, Fearless Furies, ran a similar comp to this where they just had to run at you to force these engagements, and they ended up winning that game. Very back and forth, very battle heavy. I think I agree with you that there is a world where Bunny with Clock could win, but I think it also depends on how much better they've gotten since last week, because them losing to the Unks, it kind of wasn't even close in that match, it felt.
Yeah, and I think part of it comes down to the idea is that even if you have a comp that in theory loses out at some of the traditional breakpoints of the game, do you have the mechanical skill to find advantages to get to where you want to be? In their cases, you know, they want to be a little bit ahead of the game. You're running a frontline heavy comp. Frontline heavy comps are better when you can just run at another team and they feel like they have to really take very evasive action and play, you know, back and wait for opportunities to engage. What you don't want to do is play from behind and they don't have to respect your front line at all, and they say, we'll fight you anywhere, we'll probably win. So the early to mid game of even more importance, I think, for Bunny with Clock, not only to not fall behind, but to get ahead with the comp that they're running.
I kind of hope that we see, you know, Mo and Sinclair running around together, just because, you know, you get the combo, you can just like stack all the vexing bolts on them and turn them into a bunny, and you know, I just feel like it's kind of a dangerous combination for damage output. So I can see some of the vision here as we're looking at the draft. Obviously,
yeah, we'll just get the draft pulled up. Yeah, we're getting it pulled up for everyone. We can't just show it all at once. We have to rerun it through. And I know Puckett's somewhere out there saying, yes, guys, this is exactly how fast I want the draft to go, because he complains every week about how slow it goes. But we can see here, just to remind you guys what is going on. And just to kind of update you guys as well, our main producer had his internet die. So we had to swap producers mid-show, which means the producer who came in also means we had to find a new observer. So we had to swap in not only a producer, swap in an observer to make sure we can bring you the high quality content we do here at the night shift. So we should be in game momentarily, just making sure the next observer is ready to go. And we should be underway with this match. And again, just to, you know, you guys can see, we do have Yamato, Mina, Geist, Abrams, Mokrill, and Sinclair picked up for Bunny with Clock. I'm still looking towards Viscous. I'm looking towards Goober. I teased it before we went down a little bit there on Jason Tanner Kaplan. Hello, what?
Oh boy.
So you're going by ZP now, nerd. Hey, what's up, D-bag? It's Tanner from high school. Remember me? Me and the guys used to give you a hard time in school. Sorry, you were just the easy target, LOL. I can see not much has changed. Remember Sarah, the girl you had a crush on? Yeah, we're married now. I make over $200K a year and drive a Mustang GT. I guess some things never change, huh, loser? Nice catching up.
Pathetic. No, I didn't even notice that was actually
when you give
awesome.
Jason break time. Like the stuff like this just comes out of thin air. Meanwhile, I'm just reviewing his like cooking plans and what I'm intending on doing tonight, where I've entered a poached egg phase where I've gotten really good at poaching eggs in the last few weeks. It has become a staple, adding into rice bowls.
Do you do the thing
breakfast.
where you spin the water and then drop the egg in?
Yeah, you have to use vinegar though. Like adding vinegar was like actually a key part to not getting egg soup, like in, you know, making the drop easy. And a little bit of technique as you like drop it into the water and temperature control.
How many do you do at once? You do this? This is like a batch process. How many?
I do one at a time right now. I'm not skilled enough to do like multiple poached eggs at a time, but it's only a few minutes per egg, so you know, it's fine.
All right,
You ever done?
Starting to sound like too much work.
No, I've ever done. You butter up a pan, you crack a couple eggs open, you put some like cheese, some bacon or whatever on that. You slap a tortilla on top of that, and then you let it cook, and then you flip the tortilla over. I guess you just don't have to add the other stuff. You can add it after once it's been flipped on the backside. And you have the egg on top, then you put the cheese in and stuff like that. You make a little breakfast quesadilla.
Nice. Do you do this in Italy, Jason?
Do you have the materials in Italy?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have a tortilla?
There is an international section, and it has like ramen, and it has like Mexican taco kits where you can make your own tacos.
Oh my god, that sounds insane.
But not much more than that, unfortunately. I'm very deprived here.
Is it a Carrefour, or what are we dealing with here?
No, it's called Esselunga.
Salunga. Oh my god.
Yeah, which translates to "I hate Italy. Get me out of here, please." The viscous for goober doesn't actually translate to that. The viscous goober, I did want to point out. I mentioned it before in the EU portion of the show. ZP, Lucky Shot, glass cannon, viscous. It is a thing. It is a new build that Goober's been cooking and it does ridiculous damage because it has Majestic Leap on top of that. And for heroes like Mina, you can easily pop her before she has a chance. I would even say similar to Sinclair. I think there's a world where we see Goober go full in assassination mode here on the Viscus.
That actually does remind me, like, I think I'd mentioned it in the Captain channel. At the very least, I mentioned to all EU players directly, but no, like, we're not doing the express shot, split shot Viscus bugs. That may have actually been fixed. Like, I'm like 90% sure it may have gotten fixed in the hotfixes, but I probably should remind players, like, yeah, we're not doing that.
We ain't doing it, but we are getting into game. That's going to be happening here. Finally, Sneaky Golem up against Bunny with Clock, brought to you by none other, the men with the plan, the best in the business. It's ZP and DDK.
ZP.
Hello.
ZP and DDK.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just typing out the DM the Goober being like, by the way, no, like, no mega bug abuse. Yeah, so for those who don't know the bug, people basically evolved the split shot express shot bug to where you could shotgun people for like 3,000 damage. It was not intentional.
Nice. Well, I gotta say, CP, one thing I was gonna talk about, but we didn't get into it, was that with the Sinclair, it does give you the option to have the Sinclair Yamato lane, which is sometimes, I think the last time we saw it in EU, it like, I think it got the tower in less than 3 minutes 20 or something insane. Like it was so difficult to play against.
Yeah, I mean, Sinclair in a lane period is a real pain, and I mean, you pair it up with Yamato, it's a deadly middle lane. Like, there's no doubt that Ivy Paradox is much more of a, okay, we're gonna try and survive lane, which is not always the spot that Paradox is in. Paradox usually is a lane bully, but Paradox Ivy together versus Sinclair Yamato clearly is gonna be on the back foot. It's just a matter of not falling so far behind in health that you give up the Guardian in, you know, under 4 minutes.
Yeah, and I think it's another reason I really like the Sinclair pick last as opposed to the Vindicta, because one thing that they need is they need to be able to get out of this roster of heroes, that tempo. They've got to be able to dictate the pace, start the ganking, you know, just get on top of their opponents and roll objectives quickly in this game. I feel like that's the only win condition that they have, and I think Sinclair is excellent to help them to get to that.
What is not helpful is your Mo getting run down pretty hard in the beginning, where, you know, the upside is that Cool Cheese is able to get away. The downside is that even with score, and when you fall that low as Mo, getting your wave presence back up is a bit difficult. But you see some of this pressure coming in from the side as League and Rocker. Again, their goal right now, not to win lane, simply to survive. But speaking of lanes that need to survive, I don't love the left side lane where you're running Abrams Mina against Paige Shiv. And on face value, the Paige Shiv is actually going to be really difficult to hold your own against. The only thing that like kind of works as a hedge is that you still have to respect Abrams charge, so you can't go completely full aggro.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, obviously, I don't think you'd say that Shiv Paige is better than Shiv Kelvin, but it's not going to be super far off in terms of just, you know, what you can get done in the early laning phase at least. So that's kind of interesting to see how that kind of plays out. Definitely a strong lane, and of course we've seen Shiv be the hero that just will snowball and just win a game by himself. We saw that earlier in EU, and we just have seen it be a theme with EU in general. But the most respect right now is on Shiv, which I gotta say, ZP, I'm still kind of like taken aback by it, because we went through quite a period where Shiv was not super prioritized at all.
Yeah, I think what happened is that people overreacted to some of the nerfs that Shiv got, and Shiv was already on the upswing. Like, he was getting picked in tournaments and seen as a viable option, and then he got mega buffs right after that, and then he just turned into a perfect pick from there on out. So I think the last set of buffs he got were probably not needed, and at some point will likely get removed. Like, I think you can't have a hero be this high priority in the way Shiv is and not eventually have it reined in. So, you know, any day now you may wake up, look at announcements, and be like, oh, I was there when Shiv was killed.
Indeed. Well, we shall see how it plays out in this particular case. AVG, as we mentioned in the draft, is very strong on this hero.
Yep.
And so you could expect him to take over the game if Bunny with Clock aren't able to kind of get going. And so far we got to the 4-minute mark, and that mid tower's not down just yet, but it has taken a decent amount of damage. Looks like it's down by about at least 40%. Life has been removed so far. So this mid lane is going well, but it's not going super fast.
Yeah, and I think for Sneaky Golem, you're reasonably happy with this right now. It's 4.5 minutes. You still have your Guardian against the Sinclair Yamato lane. And in a way, you're kind of winning. You're expecting to lose this eventually, but there's a big difference in losing it in 4 minutes and losing it closer to 10 when you're going to have rotations around the map. Anyways, you just don't want to live in a world where you have, you know, the Sinclair free to roam that early.
And we get actually potential, I think, here for Bunny with Clock. If they can manage to just get this pacing into the mid game, to actually be kind of dangerous on some of the ganks. I'm not super familiar, I gotta say, with Sinclair's power spikes. CP, I gotta say Sinclair's one of the heroes that I have maybe the least experience with, but I do think there's going to be a moment of the game here where they can really activate that into that 10 to 15 minute mark.
I mean, most of Sinclair's power spike is very early game centric. It's when you get rapid recharge online and you get, you know, basically the biggest benefits to your Vexing Bolt when you can just roam around and bully with Vexing Bolt, and then it's a bit of a downhill slide from there. Like he doesn't get more powerful than the point in the game that he can start initially spamming Vexing Bolt, basically.
That makes sense. Spirit resist is going to be at its lowest. Health pools relatively will be at their lowest. So pretty even so far, and it just feels like if the game is even, Sneaky Golem are like far ahead is almost how it feels. Again, sort of basing it off the draft. You want to see Poshipop get active here, but still stuck in lane.
I think Sneaky Golem, they're very happy with where the set. Like, yeah, middle lane maybe going down sooner rather than later, but they've held out long enough. And even still, you look at where the health is at here at the moment. Both Poshi and Gibbs are at the health total that things can go against them if they're, you know, not careful. Like, they have to give a little bit of respect at their current HP, which is limiting their ability to just go in and grab the Guardian here and now.
It actually seems like somewhat of a peaceful early lane phase. You know, we haven't actually had too much drama anywhere. As I say that, on the right side, here we will get an engagement. That looks somewhat committed, and indeed, Cold Cheese is going to get taken down, so I think Sneaky going to be really happy with that. They were just getting good damage on this tower as well. I think Cold Cheese had just returned to the lane. So another kill comes on through, and with the burst damage from both a GT and a Viscous, it's definitely going to be challenging to be here. Oh, the ult comes on. Oh, how'd you like a taste of your own medicine?
Yeah, the one bird that GT doesn't control still ends up being a trade. So as Gibbs rotating out of mid to, you know, make a little bit of a difference there, in return, a decent amount of mid prio has been given up here. You take a look at Bunny with Clock, they've given up half the HP on their mid tower, so that was the price paid for that rotation.
It might be just a committed lane swap as well at this point too. You know, guys coming off of that right side and onto the mid lane now with the Yamato with Poshipop. Arctic on the Geist. Still in a pretty good spot here to get some good tower damage. These the health pools here for the Sneaky Golem defenders are not super strong, so they're not able to get that aggressive. That forward pressure is maintained for now for the mid lane for Bunny with Clock.
I don't know if, I mean, okay, putting Sinclair in any lane early can help stabilize it, but going up against Viscous GT, that is a lane with ridiculous amounts of burst, and something that even Sinclair is not 100% safe in. Like, yeah, Sinclair, you have your ability to escape with Spectral Assistant and your own pretty fearsome burst damage, but you also can just kind of get dropped by that lane and have this swapped over here. But speaking of rotations right now, we got the vaults online, and probably one of the most contested things in the game. Thing you want to make sure that you defend your own at a minimum.
Very slow early game so far, ZP. Not a single tower down just yet. We're approaching the 9-minute mark. We'll see some more aggression, though, towards the Sneaky Golem tower here. This might be the first one to fall, potentially. It's getting very, very weakened now, so that's good work on that left lane. That's actually become the most winning lane for Bunny with Clock. Nina Abrams.
It's not bad work done in the left lane. I mean, generally speaking, you want Nina to win your early lanes. It's going up against a lane that can kind of do well. But combo up in place, Goober, danger, Rabbit Hex in after. Stays alive long enough to drop the cube as he sees the clone Goo Ball heading out. Vexing Bolt over, in for a little bit of support as the Guardian goes down in the middle of the stretch.
Looks like Cuba will stay alive for now. That was a really close call. Still though, oh, the burst damage there. Gibbs still hanging out on that Sinclair, and he's going to go all the way in, and that's a pretty comfortable kill coming in from Goober there. The revenge gets his own on him, and looks like this tower is going to be at huge risk. Mo is going to try to disrupt this, but it's going down, and that's the first Guardian gone, I think. No, second Guardian gone. Okay, so it took us to the 10-minute mark here, ZP, to see any Guardians get taken out.
That was Guardian for Guardian swap though. Coming in from Rocker, gonna force the Shadow Transformation at Pashi. Pashi, somewhat low HP, has a shielding item, so not in immediate danger, but also doesn't want to stick and follow after the shielding and Shadow Transformation were off. So pretty even across the board right now. But remember, when you look at the overall soul aggregation here, if you're Sneaky Golem, you like this game state. You know that you win the game if it's even or better late, and you even have earn control here. So Bunny with Clock, they've had some spots that have went well for them, but overall, if the goal is to win the game, they're a bit behind now, Dan.
Yes, DP. I agree with your conclusion. Except that your name is now ZP. I'm going to release you from this actually though, because I feel like I could just be super annoying here. Okay, well the owner's going to get...
The bit can go on, it's fine, but also not much of an earn contest there as this gets going even further ahead.
It certainly does. Another combo coming on through, and that is what you like to see if you're a Bunny with Clock fan. Cool Cheese, oh my goodness, has he got a spray blade on him? Yes, he does. He is bleeding out, and I think another Guardian goes down there in the meantime. And a chase comes on through here on the right side. Looks like Sneaky Golem will have to back off from this fight. They are outnumbered, of course, and in the meantime, there's quite a lot of pushing going on the left side of the map. Here is Sneaky Golem looking to take control over that. A couple skirmishes. Looks like Arctic is on the Geist, is trying to chase down the Paradox, and Rocker's very weak. You get taken out there. Very good work coming on through from Arctic on that Geist. And looks like Arctic will be able to kind of fall back into safety as well. And in the meantime, on the right side, Sneaky Golem is still pushing the issue here.
Nostra, more like a refreshing rain being dropped on down. Tanner running foul of hydration off on the other end of the map. And I mean, the trades that came in here are pretty good for Sneaky Golem. I mean, yeah, you had the 3-on-2 on left where it traded 1-for-1 kill-wise, but it all started because League just went to the back to finish off the Guardian. So every single Guardian now down for Bunny with Clock. Sneaky Golem still maintaining their Guardian on the right-hand side. And you take a look at how they've shifted up their lanes and who's where. They've put the Page Shiv over onto the right-hand side now, and getting through that lane to get that Guardian is actually going to be a pain, because it's not even at a point where it's easily backdoorable as some of the Sinners now are a little bit more in contest.
And it's actually a kind of a big soul discrepancy here. Oh, nice catch! Paradox trying to escape, not going to happen. Although, is there a save? That's potentially a save here. Rocker trying to get out of there. Flying straight coming on through. Isolating the Page, though. It will be tough to continue to follow that one up. There's the assistance coming on through. It doesn't look like these fights are going to be working out all that well here for Bunny with Clock. They will take down Rocker finally. And more players here from Bunny with Clock, as I say that, are grouping up here, finding this fight as they jump on top of the roof. Still chasing down the Page, and it looks like a good kill, maybe, but no, Gooper comes in just in the nick of time to save the Page, and the reinforcements there, the double with the bird, is a great finishing find there from Sneaky Golem, and now CP, they're 12,000 souls ahead.
Dan, I'm gonna be honest, I'm looking at the Sneaky Golem comp for another thing, now I'm seeing it in action. This has to be one of the most obnoxious compositions I have ever seen played in Night Shift. Just the combo of having to deal with Page's area denial with spamming Captivating Read, throwing in Spirit Snare on the ground after, dealing with general viscous things between Goo Ball and Puddle Punch Disruption. The ability to just move is so impeded by Sneaky Golem's comp. And that's even before considering the fact that you're at risk of getting swamped and so forth. So, Bunny with Clock running a comp that's more in the we want to run at them. Do you want to run at them, though, when the ground is actively against you in all ways in some of these bigger team fights?
Yeah, it's a great point, and I'm scratching my head now a little bit thinking, okay, well, what do they need to do at this point? It feels like Bunny with Clock need to, at this point in the game, they have to keep the pressure on with a comp like this. We'll have the Guardian taken down there. That's the final one, I think. Bunny with Clock will lose Gibbs, though, in the effort. So that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. And again, they just don't have as many tools.
Goober has silently just been accumulating immense amounts of wealth. If you look at here, 17k Viscous, Gun Viscous, actually pumping damage via Express Shot build, where Express Shot itself is just split shot. And yeah, I mean, you look at this last fight, the damage output is ridiculous, and Goober himself largely untouched.
Yeah, there's so much to worry about that Goober's able to just do whatever he wants. He's just like a drone warfare, just like above the fight, just shooting on down at his opponents. No air, anti-air at all there. Yeah, this is kind of working out, I suppose, as we expected so far. And it is a scary thing because you don't, I feel like, at least for me, I mean, this is how the builds have changed, right, for Viscous, with these like first like express shot based builds. I still don't feel, I think of Viscous in these comp matches as like an enormous damage threat, but he absolutely is an insanely enormous damage threat.
And not only a big damage threat, but also has the benefit that some of the other like higher damage carries in the game, like say an Ivy has too, is that Viscous isn't an easy kill. Between, you know, Puddle Punch mobility, tricks, and Goo Ball in general, you know, actually locking down a Viscous to take down the carrying threat is a problem when he's as farmed as, again, just obliterates Yamato where she stands.
This is rough. Arctic is just going to be completely shut down as well. And at this point, it feels like there's no resistance. Again, it's just like you said, ZP, there's like this combination of burst damage, tankiness, and just great options to stay alive and disrupt fights that makes it seem somewhat difficult for Bunny Clock to really find any positive engagements. And some of the engagements that have looked better, the delay starts to work out, and Sneaky Golem then just like gets to reinforce the position really effectively and then kind of just run over the fight. So just seemingly outclassed in every way. And now it gets worse because now that, you know, we're finally starting to separate in terms of souls as well. The allocation now for Sneaky Golem is looking quite scary, as a lot of it is on Goober, as you mentioned. And Lee, the Ivy, as you'd expect, really well farmed up.
I mean, we're 17 minutes in and Goober has 11 killing blows, which, you know, killing blows not always the most meaningful stat, at least until you actually start gaining real character power from it via things like Glass Cannon. But, you know, as a eye test barometer, to say Goober has had an outsized impact on the game would be underselling it. So now we got an Owl and Goober walking forward, and it's not a good day to be Aiden right here as that kill streak goes up to 12.
Easy. Intercontinental missile. Wait, isn't it intercontinental ballistic?
Yes.
Missile, or bird, perhaps.
Yeah, you have to have the ballistic in there. It's like ICBM. Intercontinental missile is not usually a term used on its own. I don't know why the naming rules are made this, but like ballistic is a key part of the naming nomenclature.
I suppose maybe something can be a missile that's not explosive. I suppose maybe. I need to like get the dictionary out.
Hey, I mean, then it'd be like kind of a kinetic weapon, where you're relying on the kinetic energy. But I've never heard of the term like intercontinental kinetic. You know, well, I mean, there's other things. The fact that we're sitting here looking at this and not deeply talking about the game kind of says it all. At the moment, as it's just been Goober's playing a horror game right now as he's just slowly hunting down his prey.
Yeah, the comeback. I mean, it's going to be nigh on impossible to turn that one in, even though the team right now, Seagull is just doing mid boss. They can still keep people close-ish to the urn. In fact, actually, at this point, it's just AVG. So, do they go for the urn turn-in? Because if they do, I mean, all the crystals will be consumed by Sneaky Golem. They can make it over there still to force the team fight. So, this is just looking pretty bad right now for Bunny with Clock. There's not really any other way to slice this pie.
I think the issue is that when you look at win conditions for Bunny with Clock, does a farmed Geist save you in these fights? No, not really. Like ideally, you would have loved to have had more of this farm on the Yamato, maybe a little bit more onto the Abrams, but with the comp Bunny with Clock is running, it's not a comp that plays super well from behind. You get the combo right now onto the Ivy, but I'm not even sure Lee cares. I mean, not a lot of damage went in. You got the stone form after. The charge coming in for the finish there. But now they're able to escape down in the underground in the fight. And a little bit more in vogue as AVG, not harmed at all, able to go forward, get the killing blow. And if you can't get a kill off that, Dan, it's pretty much done.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you want? What else do you want? I don't think Goober was even in that fight, was he?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, a lot of problems on through here. So okay, we'll get the flank, the encirclement around the Walker to absolutely choke off that position. And like a limb ZP that has been has no more blood going to it. It's been choked off. It falls off. That's what was happening to that Walker, by the way.
Yep. You know, it turned different colors, and one day it fell off. It happens to the best of us. But you have Mo walking on in, and all right, chase down here on the AVG, potentially killable here. Pops bloodletting though, and still keen to take the fight here at Yamato as quickly Paji Pop's going, wait. There's a big souls difference between us. Rejuve can be used by Goober, goes down once, but back ready for the fight. Rocker finishing off onto the Mo. Swap attempt comes out, but all in all, Dan, it's nothing but wins for Sneaky Golem on this push.
Yeah, and another one's getting about to get stacked up with the comeback urn that is now being delivered. But for the side of Sneaky Golem, just behind all of this, you know, there's nothing that can be done. Okay, we're gonna send out the intercontinental ballistic bird.
There you go.
There we go.
The ICBB.
Yes, you get that little bit of alliteration at the end. It's nice.
I do like the term ballistic bird. Like it kind of it works. I don't know what the technical reason as to why it works, but it does work.
It certainly works for Rokane, that is for sure.
Who doesn't love a surprise?
Kind of interesting how a lot of the traditional rocker hero pool got picked here between the Shiv, the Paradox, and the GT. Because normally for a rocker team, you would expect rocker to be on the GT, but I think for observable priority, from what we've seen from Sneaky Golem, if a Paradox is in play, rocker is the Paradox of main choice, if for nothing else. Relative to the other heroes, Paradox is the hero that they've been able to get in draft, I think, most consistently. So I think it just worked out as that if you have rocker on Paradox in most of your games, you're not going to shift rocker on the games where you get a Shiv and a GT and you still have the Paradox.
You know, it's funny. I was actually going to ask you that exact question about the rocker GT thing, and then you just started talking about it. I was like, huh, that's kind of weird.
Well,
but,
we mentioned into you, we can like tap into people's minds. Like your mind has also been uploaded into something that we can scan and read. Yeah, Solomon should get you the details. I don't know.
Okay, so we got some Minority Report level stuff.
That's right. I mean,
That's an
production
old
does
movie.
wild things.
Dude, that's like a 2003 movie or something, you know.
We're old. Like I enjoy thinking about that. It's like that was 2003 right now. It's just like, oh my god. There's some other games.
Valve did their announcement of all their tech, their like new tech. Did you see?
No, I did not.
Oh, they just. Oh, go ahead.
I actually saw a little bit. It was like a new, like more powerful, like mini PC on Steam OS, and then like a VR thing, right?
Yes. And I was just looking at that, and I was just thinking, I was like writing out a tweet. I'm like, oh, I'm super excited for this. Like, I've been a Valve stan since. And I was like, oh my god, 1998. It's like Half-Life 1. Oh my god. I remember when Steam came out.
People can drink that were born in that era.
Yeah, I had like a 6 or 7 digit Steam ID. Oh my god.
Yep, and well, a few kills coming out here. Bunny with Clock still struggling to get things done. League somehow able to get out of the firing range, and Goober coming in on the backup. Now a 29k Viscous. You know, his overall lead on the game has lessened a bit, but relative to Bunny with Clock, he may still be just a gooey god.
Yeah, and those power spikes too. So where's he at in terms of the lucky shot? And did you say glass cannon lucky shot? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it was talking about an EU for that, but generally speaking, those two items are just really high value for like late game orange builds. Like you can go other things, like, you know, if you're going to like Ivy, capacitor has value, like really high fire rate like capacitor, but anything that's not super high fire rate, usually more of a glass cannon sort of deal.
Okay, well, Poshy Pop's trying to get something going. He gets melted. I can't say I'm surprised to see this result. I feel bad for Cheese.
I think for me, I'm a little bit surprised it came for the way it transpired. I wasn't expecting Goober to hard carry to this extent on Viscous. Like, yes, one of the best Viscuses in the world. You cannot question that. But even still, you don't usually see Goober just pop off the side.
luxury of mercy today.
Hey, what happened? Why is he popping up so hard?
Well, I think part of it is that he had a really good lane. I mean, you start with like a Viscous GT lane. The burst damage in that lane is really hard to play against, like significantly so. If you step out once, you're dead. And that means that once you get lower HP, you can't really play the lane at all. You're just playing to survive. You know, Goober's good at taking advantage when you get that level of dominance in the lane.
Well, that makes sense. And well, looks like our time in this game is coming to an end here. Bunny with Clock are losing their patron. It's a quick little combo, just for something at the end, but it's going to be Sneaky Golem with the victory. And it, off the draft, it kind of was what we all expected to see.
Quick and dirty. Although I guess not as quick. It felt like a quicker game than it was. That was a 24-minute game, but if you had asked me off the cuff how long that was, I would have said like 18 minutes. It felt shorter than it was, Dan.
That's really interesting because to me it felt like 35 minutes. It felt like it was going on forever.
It felt like a lifetime because of all the sick clips we got from Goober. I was telling you before. I mean, he's been toting. He's been actually even giving his secret sauce out to some other streamers out there. I was mentioning Disco Virtuoso earlier, an OCE player, and he was showing him this build, and he's been talking about this build for a while. And I know you're talking about like Lucky Shot and Glass Cannon and what we potentially could see. I know he likes to run both. I don't know if he's ever going to get to the point to be able to consistently run both in these matches, especially going up against melee creeps. But you're seeing the domination, man, out of Goober and what he can really bring to a team. It's so great to see too, right? Because Goober, I think he played in like Fight Night a couple times with Deathy's team in the past. Was it like TF2 Boomers? But he never really had an opportunity to show what he could do. And not that I'm glazing him, too hard here, but he is proving to be one of the top players in North America. I mean, he can do it on Viscous, obviously, but I feel like he's been able to do it on other heroes as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. I always heard everyone talk him up so much, but I never saw him really with a team, like a top flight team. So the question was always there for me, and so I think that's a great point to raise because I agree. Now we're seeing him with a really sick lineup. You're like, okay, wow, this not only can he hang, he is as he was prophesized to be.
You know what I'll say? In terms of player progression, I would say Goober is to NA what Hoot was to EU. As far as, Goober starting a... No, it's really true, though. You think about it, like, Hoot basically had the come-up journey where he was playing on teams like Mydong and then, slowly climbed the ladder. Goober was doing the same thing, where Goober's playing on teams like TF2 Boomers and then, upgraded, and now is on Sneaky Golem, a team that, in many respects has been #1 in NA for a really long time. Now is neck and neck with melee creeps, but Goober climbed the ladder. And I don't think there's a ton of examples of players that distinctly went from basically your bottom entry competitive teams that are now effectively on the top competitive teams. So, I mean, for Goober, it's been a fun journey to watch.
I mean, don't forget, he had to beat Hydronation originally, and then he was unable to play the next couple of weeks because they didn't have a team to field, right? And the Baroness Hotel played instead. And then Hydration split up, and then he got some new teammates. It's been awesome to see, and I think it's, I guess, also a testament to how good players can kind of be when given the proper support or the proper role on a team as well. And obviously, we can talk Goober up night and day, and you could probably guess who our MVP is going to be for this one, which we'll get to in a short few after a break. But all in all, I mean, in this match, Sneaky Golem just didn't really feel tested. And I think that's just kind of how that match played out. And obviously, Bunny with Clock, we wanted to see a little bit more out of them. I know they're still maybe trying to mesh together as a team. But as we saw over in EU, there is a big gap between like the top teams and even the next tier of teams. And to be fair, as you did mention on the EU side, Bunny with Clock could probably do the exact same play to another team that's, the tier under them. And that's kind of how big the gaps are between tiers, unfortunately. Right, Dan?
Yeah, I think especially in Deadlock, there are so many small edges that can compound, and especially the teams that have that extra experience, they turn those edges into massive macro advantages, and they also find there's different portions of the game where you have to win, and the strategy changes, and types of fights and positioning that you use changes, and it's so hard, I think, without a lot of reps to get the experience to be good in all of those phases, and then you have to at some point then get good at doing it against the other really good teams, and that is then a whole learning experience too. So I think this game is very hard to get good. It's hard to walk off the street from just like some random scrims and just be like this level for sure.
Yeah, and ZP, like in particular, I think the skill disparity between being like an E6 player and being a top player in a team, I kind of find like maybe like Dota also has that kind of expression of like the difference of skill required. Was there any other games you can think of that's similar in that route?
Yeah, I mean, I would also argue, I mean, even Overwatch back in the day, right? Like you could be a top 500, top, 50 in the top 500 player in Overwatch, and then just get absolutely run over by your very best competitive players in a competitive match, right? There just is another gear that goes beyond like whatever ranking system that can be applied. But Jason, as many thoughts as I'd have here, I'm gonna cut short because we got a break to get to.
We do have a break to go to. I believe Tanner did hit up our producer and said he needs to have a chat with you. So we're gonna let Tanner have it because he's gotten ripped in Jack since high school. The stream might go down just for a few seconds to let you guys all know who are watching. We are switching our producers back so we can get the substitute producer in back to observing and to make the show as beautiful as it always is, though we did a fantastic job in the meantime here. So we'll head to that short break. When we do come back, we'll take a look at the match stats, we'll take a look at our MVP, and more importantly, we'll get to our championship match to see who takes home the big buckaroos here in North America.